All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let me know in the comments, first and foremost, if you can see me and hear me loud and clear before I get started with today's very exciting episode that I'm really excited about my guest today. So I'm just going to quickly check if the notification has gone out. But let me know in the comments, folks, if you can see me and hear me okay. Very exciting guest today who I'm going to be bringing out shortly. And I know it usually takes a few seconds for the notifications to go out on LinkedIn. So I'm just going to give it a few seconds. But yeah, it looks like the notification is out and we are in business. I'm just going to quickly go ahead and like my own stream. Uh, 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 not because of like an egotistical thing, but because it'll make it more visible to everyone else out there as well who might be following me. So today, folks, again, my guest is going to be Ruzaan Karwa, and we're going to be speaking about the banking and AML industry. So don't be shy. Let me know in the comments who you are, where you're tuning in from, which city you're representing. Represent your city in the comments. We got Nilo here who's tuning in. Nilo says hello, can hear loud and clear. Awesome, sounds good, Nilo. Thanks so much. Rajesh says Toronto, where's the cap? Yeah, so Rajesh, I'm gonna put the cap needed a break today. I want the focus to be on Ruzaan. So the cap is taking a break today, but I'll bring it on, I promise, next week Wednesday for my live show. All right, but I appreciate that comment. It's really funny. Make sure you like, comment, and share, folks. Today's topic is a very popular topic. And as a recruiter, I always get asked about this space, banking, AML, and that regard. We got someone tuning in from Toronto, so apologies. I know some of the people, some of you putting in the comments, it doesn't show your name, but appreciate you tuning in, whoever that is. And and again, folks, this is another great networking opportunity for you as well, right? For all of you to network with each other. So let us know in the comments who you are, what your position is, which city you're from, and let others know that you're open to networking, right? Because you want to use this platform as an opportunity to start networking. We got Bhavin all the way from Surat, India. Wow, thanks so much for tuning in, Bhavin. Appreciate that. We got Saurabh from Toronto. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, Saurabh. Appreciate that. We got Jamin. Hey, Jamin, good topic today. Yeah, absolutely, Jamin. I'm really excited about today's topic. We got Tosin all the way from Winnipeg. Hey, good to see you, Tosin. Thanks so much for tuning in. Rajiv says already holding PR. Wow, congrats, Rajiv. That's awesome, fantastic. We got Jacob from Toronto. Thanks for tuning in, Jacob. We got Mahesh from North York. All right, North York, that's my neck of the woods. Good to see someone from North York. Thanks for tuning in, Mahesh. We got Manu from New Delhi. Awesome, New Delhi's in the house. We got Nilu from Toronto. Awesome, fantastic. So, folks, continue putting in the comments and, let everyone know that you're open to networking and introduce yourself. Good opportunity for all of you to make friends with each other and network and expand your networks. All right. So, in the meantime, and I'm going to be bringing in my fantastic guest shortly. But just to give you an intro, right, and in regards to today's guest, right, and my guest today is Ruzaan Karwa. So Ruzaan has 10 plus years of work experience, majority of which is being in the banking industry. He has earned 11 plus awards and accolades during his career. Very impressive. He's passionate about AML and mentoring other people to get into the banking industry doors. He holds a certified anti-money laundering specialist CAMS designation, a bachelor's degree in finance, and a postgraduate degree in compliance administration. Ruzaan is also a chief mentor at Visionary Advisory Community, which, by the way, folks, we're going to be asking Ruzaan about that later on. That provides a mentorship platform to banking professionals. Very exciting, and does free online webinars every Saturday. So I'm going to be definitely trying to get Ruzaan to get me as a guest for sure on that show for sure, folks. So definitely, we'll be talking about that later. He also volunteers at Access Employment, Toronto Region Immigrant Employment Council, also known as TRIAC, I believe, TRIAC or TRIAC. I think it's TRIAC. Apologies if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. Culture Link, HOPS, also known as Helping Other People Succeed, another great organization, and conducts one-on-one coaching sessions via LinkedIn. Also represented the AML community as a guest speaker at Financial Connections program and was on the panel for the recent graduating cohort for Seneca College. Outside of work, Ruzaan is a self-proclaimed travelholic. I love that. And enjoys long drives to remote places in Canada. That's awesome. That's fantastic. So, folks, make sure in the comments, everyone gives a very warm welcome to Ruzaan. I'm going to be bringing him on shortly. the man who's always smiling. Legend has it he has never been without a smile. All right, so I'm gonna bring him on shortly. So again, everyone, make sure you thank Ruzaan for his time. He's going to be sharing his expertise. He's setting aside about an hour of his time to share his knowledge, his wisdom, his expertise. So everyone, make sure everyone gives a warm welcome to Ruzaan in the comments. Ruzaan, welcome to the show, my friend. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your time.
Thank you so much, Dean. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And folks, Ruzan is someone who actually reached out to me because he wanted to be on this show and he wanted to share his wisdom and expertise. So make sure everyone, give your thanks to Ruzan in the comments. We got a lot of people here commenting, so feel free to keep putting your comments. And before we begin, Ruzan, just wanted to give a quick shout out to everyone tuning in from LinkedIn, from Facebook, from YouTube, as well as on Periscope as well. We got some shout outs. So Abhimanyu says, can't wait to listen to Ruzan. Awesome. Definitely going to be great, Abhimanyu. Rajiv says, thanks for your time, Ruzan. Awesome. And Jacob says, hi to Ruzan as well. Awesome.
Hey,
Keep the comments coming, folks. So Ruzan, now before we begin, talking
sure.
about and we get into your advice and your expertise and your wisdom and hearing about your very inspirational career journey as well. If we can start with the definition, Ruzan, because we will be talking about AML, and for those viewers who might not be familiar with this space, what exactly is AML or anti-money laundering?
Perfect. Okay. I'll before even I go there, I want to make one statement though. At this time, we live in a very underappreciated and highly opinionated world.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring that one thing out. That Dean, thank you for doing a wonderful job. It's great. So just
Thank
take
you.
it as a compliment.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Perfect. With that being said, maybe to your question about AML. So AML is anti-money laundering. If I had to dramatize it, maybe I should wear a cape every day, like the Superman's cape, to work.
Right. Right.
The reason why I feel that is we not only investigate cases or alerts with respects to money laundering, which is a big problem in the world now, but also we investigate cases and stuff like that, which involves human trafficking, for example,
Wow.
terrorist financing, fraud, and so many different things which actually create that difference in the world. So while working, not being in the law enforcement side as well, but still being able to make that small point of difference, in a nutshell, is the definition for AML.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. Fantastic. So I mean, it's much broader than what I actually initially thought myself as well. So
True.
that's fantastic. So Ruzan, I mean, when we chatted before, like, and you have a very inspirational story, especially for those of you folks tuning in who might be new to the country. So definitely make sure you pay attention. So Ruzan is going to be sharing his story, right? And so Ruzan, I mean, can you tell us about your journey? I mean, you came to Canada as an international student, brand new to the country, and pretty much as a student, right?
Yeah.
And now you have progressed to a point where you are the manager of a financial intelligence unit at, let alone one of the major banks here in Canada. So can you tell us like your journey here? Firstly, originally here as an international student, Ruzan, like what was that like, and what was that journey like?
Perfect. You already have painted the rosy picture for me. So it's like, hey, manager at the big FI, AML Pro, guy, works as a chief mentor with, visionary advisory community. I have my own sessions that I do, but it wasn't as rosy as it
Right.
seems, what it is now. The complete flip side of it, yes, I did come here as an international student with probably no LinkedIn presence, no networking skills, no know-how.
Mhm.
Invested some time into getting myself upgraded. I had 5 years of good working experience in that industry, but wasn't enough to get me in. So I invested in my own self, got upgraded with some educational factors, studied like for full time 2 years, 1 year specifically being in compliance, and still that wasn't enough. It takes a wake up call that I call to get up and start delivering. I went into the pitfall that I term it as apply and no reply.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it happened. Yeah, at that time I would say maybe I didn't have the right mentors or maybe the right mindset to get things done, but had to dig myself up. After that, things changed. I took a break. I learned many things. I took a break from applying and actively job searching. Invested in myself. Did a lot of programs, courses, which will help me learn more, gain more insights of the industry. And when time came, when I restarted, just as a point of inspiration to others, maybe I applied for 4 positions with the big banks here in India and got selected with all of them. So I was no
Wow.
longer the beggar; I was the chooser. So I was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
what do you offer me?" I was negotiating.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that was a total flip, and that's where I always tell this story to everyone, to just think of it as a point of inspiration. That's what you can also do.
Right, right,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we got a fantastic comment here, actually, from I guess one of your contacts, Sundar. Sundar says,
Uh-huh.
"Hi, Ruzaan. You are truly an inspiration to everyone. I know you were since the Royal Bank of Scotland days
Yeah.
back in India. You are a good orator, and above all, you are a good human being." Wow, what a
Thank you so
fantastic
much.
comment! Awesome. Thanks for that, Sundar. So, I mean, so Ruzaan, I mean, so as coming as an international student, and some of the viewers here might be international students currently, any tips and advice for the international students on adapting to an entirely new culture, entirely new country, and in regard and also in regards to approaching their career and their job search?
Perfect. Yeah, maybe I'll take it from the my own book of life, and try to say some give you some tips and things that you can share with everyone else that you know as well. Uh,
Yeah,
don't firstly don't lose hope.
yeah,
That's the prime. That's of prime importance. If you lose that, it's done and done. You can't do anything of it. Uh,
absolutely.
you know. Second would be, I would say, fail, but fail to learn.
Hmm.
So if you fail, learn from it and grow from it. That's going to keep you alive. Maybe one application didn't work, so just start digging in why it didn't work. Learn from it. It's okay to fail.
Yeah,
Just take it. Don't come here with a time bomb in your hand, which is like ticking every time. I need to get this job. I need to do this. I need to do that. Just fail if needed, but try. Keep curiosity alive. If I wasn't curious enough, I wouldn't have made it within the ranks. I would say, just try to learn everything that comes by you. Even if it doesn't come by you, try to put your hands in it and learn. Like if you get a job maybe and you are doing well, maybe start learning about the position that's above you, or maybe someone besides you who is a totally different role which you can learn. So keep your curiosity alive. I would say seek a mentor.
yeah.
That's very important. It's follow people like Dean. They give us good tremendous advice that helps, surely helps. So find that, or invest in a great mentorship program, or invest in someone who can actually be a guiding light, or at least you can throw off your ideas at get that done. Invest in yourself again. You're investing in different things. Invest in yourself. Do some certifications that are applicable. Do some programs that are applicable, or maybe if it's full-time studies, go ahead. It's your
Mhm.
calling for sure. And again, emphasizing again for that, support other people in your own community. Whoever is doing, like, maybe Dean is doing something good, just comment on him, and like it and share it. That's the minimum thing you can do.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, and appreciate that, Ruzan. And yeah, absolutely, folks. Yeah, like you have to engage with people, right? See it as a
Yeah.
platform for you to engage. The person gets something out of it, and obviously you get something out of it as well, right? So look at it that way. I definitely agree with that, Ruzan. Great advice. So, Ruzan, and we're going to talk more about the career tips and advice later on in the discussion, folks. But I did want to cover the AML space, Ruzan. I mean,
Yeah.
why did you like? Was it a conscious decision to get into this space? Like, why is AML a good space to be in? How do you get into it, and how do you get into the banking industry? So, I know I asked a few questions there. So, I guess let's start with, can you tell us about AML? Like, why is it a good space to be in?
Perfect. Maybe the reason I tell that funny story as well sometimes is the
Yeah.
reason why I got attracted to AML was just because of the authority. This authority could
Okay.
actually tell me, hey, do this, or maybe just inquire about this more, and wouldn't tell me why, because of
Okay.
tipping off, right? And you would not never tell a client that you are under investigation, or maybe anyone about that. So that was my first notion, like, who the hell are these guys who have this much of authority?
Okay.
Got
Okay. Okay.
inquisitive, into it, and started building knowledge pieces into AML. Like, as I said, got into did a full program actually for compliance and AML. And then stepped into the certified anti-money laundering specialist, as well as now I'm doing 2 more certifications at the same time. just to be more cognizant and more aware of other financial crimes as well. So that's how the AML is,
Right.
and that's
Gotcha.
how it all started.
Got
So
it.
it was
Got
a
it.
bit of conscious decision, but more of unconscious attraction, I would say.
Got it. Gotcha. So Ruzan, I mean, getting when you so for those interested in getting into this space, the ML
Yeah,
space, like what are the prerequisites? Like, how did you get into it? Like, and what's the good strategy that you can advise to people who are interested in this space?
perfect. So I would say the prerequisite or the most important one would be curiosity and a passion to learn. Like you need to have that. It seems like a rosy picture that hey, we'll investigate. It's such a high level investigations, and I'll do some good to the world. But at the end, you need some passion towards it,
Yeah.
which you need to portray, like in your resume, in your conversations, in your interview, on your LinkedIn, and that's the paramount step to start with. But later after that, as I mentioned, something like certifications are important as well. If you want to stand out from the crowd, each application within the AML gets hundreds of, not even I should say thousands of applications
Yeah.
for one position itself. And being that every banker has to do some mandatory courses in AML, whichever field you are in, at least some mandatory courses, gets that more drive and more know-how of AML, and which people get attracted to. So if you want to stand out, you will surely have to stand out from the crowd by certifications, by getting that practical knowledge piece, which is important sometimes to say. Just for an example, I was talking to someone the other day. It's like, this lady was working in a CSR role. It's
Mm.
like, hey, how would you introduce yourself in an interview setting? It's like, I am a CSR, client service representative. I'm like, how about changing it to being, I'm in the first line of defense. Now you're starting to talk lingo of the
Yeah.
industry. It changes everything. So it doesn't come naturally. You'll have to invest some time in learning about it and growing into that field. And once you have that, you will easily be able to get in. That's my advice to everyone.
Wow, fantastic. And I love that example. So, folks, you see that's a perfect example. For those of you, maybe some of you are CSRs right now. And you probably face notice this yourself, Ruzan. Like, I feel like some people, they're like, oh, I'm just a customer service person, or oh, I'm just a salesperson, or oh, I'm just this, I'm just that. But notice the way, folks, how Ruzan reframed that, right?
True.
Think about it. Like he just reframed it in such a different way, and it totally changed the perception of what this CSR person does. So that's what all of you need to be doing when you're presenting yourself in your job search as well. Such a fantastic example,
Yeah.
Ruzan. I love that. Uh, so Ruzan, and another question I had was, now my experience, I've primarily been like a tech recruiter, working recruiting on the tech side of things, and occasionally I do get candidates who want to make that transition from pure tech kind of a industry into banking or finance or AML. So in regards to people who do not come from a finance background, is it like what approach do you suggest for those people who want to get into maybe banking or AML or your space?
Perfect. Okay, so I always have had a few occasions of my mentees being in different genres of the industry and would want to transition into ML. My one piece of advice that always works is something I call it as soul searching. So first, go and search your soul. Find skills and abilities that are transferable.
Hmm.
That easily, like I'll just refer to one of the messages that I was talking to someone about was she's a CA, for example, and she's like, hey, what transferable skills do I get? I'm like, hey, CA, you are good with numbers. You can draw patterns from those numbers. If you want to come into AML, that's your transferable skills. And I
Yeah.
and I define something as a transitionary skills as well. It's
Oh, I
like,
love
hey,
that.
that gets you
Yeah.
transition into a new role. So you
Yeah.
should be concentrating more on that and try to build a story and try to build a resume around that. And and all your conversations, whenever I call all that marketing materials for yourself, LinkedIn, everywhere, it should be prominently being noticed that hey, this person has these transitionary or transferable skills, and that's how you would get in.
Yeah, well, love that advice. Completely agree with you, Ruzan. I mean, being on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
like you got to use that as a platform to promote your expertise, as a thought leader in your space and as an expert in your space. I definitely love that. Also, quick shout out. I see some great comments from Narendra, from Mohit. Pankaj, Faiz as well, and as well as Narinder. So shout out, some great comments. So
Thank you.
keep the comments and questions coming in, folks. Definitely feel free to put those in the comments. So now you mentioned something very, something I think a lot of people will definitely agree with and relate to, Ruzaan, that banking, for banking roles, and you mentioned the AML space, usually gets like thousands and thousands of applicants, highly competitive space.
Yeah.
Any high level tips, and we're going to discuss this in more detail later on in the conversation, but any high level tips, like how does one separate themselves in this very competitive industry?
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So maybe I emphasize more on two things. I should say make it three. Now, when I said it's two, I got the third one in my mind.
Okay.
So one is certifications. I spoke about it. You sometimes need those to get out of the usual bucket. Like okay to have bucket and get into the likely to interview kind of bucket. Second
Right.
one would be more of networking. So network more with people within, because that does some wonders. Don't go and ask for directly for a job. Please don't. You'll spoil the
Yeah.
the relationship right then. And that's one of the biggest pitfalls I see. But just learn from them. And when time comes, you never know. They might be able to give you that reference, or maybe that support system to get in. And third would be just try to think of your skills. Try to think of things that can set you apart from the other people. So maybe if you are applying internally,
Mhm.
like for example, put yourself forward as, hey, you know what? I know the banking systems already. Other people who may be applying from outside may not know this. And I'm good. I might not be great at AML. Maybe I don't have the technical requirements,
Yeah.
but I surely do have product knowledge. I know the banking products. I know your own banking system. So I'm an asset. So try to
Mhm.
position yourself that way and change the value proposition.
Got it. Love that. Great advice. So, and also for those of the viewers, Ruzan, who might be interested in the AML space, like what does a typical day look like for someone in the AML space? Like, and I know it can be of different,
Yeah.
for different types of people, but in general, what can someone in this space expect to be handling on a day-to-day basis?
Perfect. Yeah. So it depends on which role you are in and which team you are in. Luckily, I've had experiences with different divisions within the AML, so I can speak to a broader term maybe now. Uh, in a way, your work every day is to stop the bad guys or the bad money to get in the banking system. So
Wow.
maybe if you are on the name screening side or something on those sides where you are actually screening people and stopping them from coming in, you are somewhere on the transaction monitoring side. Your day in day out would be working on alerts or cases that may be suspected as something which you don't know much about until you investigate it. So
Mhm.
your day might go in those terms. Some other aspects of it would be project management. So there are tons of projects that keep on going on. So handling those projects. Some would be just purely handling regulatory requirements like filings and different stuff that needs to be done for the regulators to be happy and not come knocking our doors. And some would be just purely some more of project management, but at the same time, agile, scrum, or some other roles in the operational side as well that keeps these processes and the whole unit working and functioning together. So that would be a
Got
typical day in different
Yeah,
genres of
yeah, yeah.
this.
Wow, I mean, it's a very exciting space. I mean, and such an important task. I mean, such an important responsibility, right? I
True.
mean, totally love that. Now, Ruzan, you mentioned the importance of mentors, right? Like having a mentor and the importance of mentorship. So, how does mentorship help in the job search and career progression, specifically in relation, especially to your industry?
Perfect. So, if I firstly take a page again from my own story, if I had that mentorship role, my story would have been a little bit more rosier, with less number of thorns, as I say that. But it
Right.
would have been a little bit more quicker. Like I had to take a break for 6 months to just get my act together, to get my soul searching mode done.
Mm.
Uh, it would have been shorter because I would have had more guided approach to things. I would have had known people that I could bounce ideas off. I could tap into their wealth of knowledge right away. I would just be making life decisions when it comes to making any decisions for careers and stuff like that. I would just be able to have more educated information, I would say, rather than
Yeah.
just wildly guessing things. Even in spaces when you need to understand the pain points of the industry, networking and mentorship helps, because you know what, you're going to sell yourself in a manner when it comes to interviews. You have to give your value proposition. That's where you say, hey, that's the pain point in the industry, and that's where my expertise lie. And hey, connect the dots, hire me. So
Gotcha.
that's that. Maybe mentorship also helps in stimulating growth mindset.
Mm.
It's important once you get in as well. It's not the end of the battle. You still have to keep at it. So it stimulates that growth mindset. That hey, what's next? What can I do with this? Well, how can I do it differently? How does your bank do this thing? How does things in the industry wide is different than what I do? And it helps you grow for the next role. And even if it's vertical or horizontal, any which ways, it's preparing you for that. And maybe it's sometimes a mentor is also helpful to ask questions and maybe practice your interview skills as well, because hey, the resume is wonderful. The purpose of it is just to get you that interview, not to get you the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
once you get that interview, that's the purpose there is to get you that job. If you're good at your resume and writing skills, for sure you may get that interview skills. But maybe when it comes to interviewing and portraying those interview skills, maybe if you're not that great, it's maybe lacking. So maybe that's somewhere where I would say a mentor comes in. Would maybe able to just create that ambience and say, let's do an interview, a mock interview with you, and
Nice.
try to get you off the nerves. And you did a very good piece, I guess, yesterday on the steps before interviewing. So maybe if you had, if I had a mentor, I would have known the 7 steps
Yeah,
before. And I have a similar saying there, Dean. I say that if you think that when you click the apply now button, that's the start of your application journey, maybe you have lost the battle already.
Wow,
You
I
have to
definitely
do
agree
so
with
many
that.
things before that, right?
Definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
So
that. Love
maybe
that.
maybe that mentorship piece would have helped a lot to understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's right, that's right. Love that. I love what you said about the resume. So folks, I hope everyone has been paying attention and even taking notes. What Ruzan said was very real. He said that a good resume, all it's going to do, it's going to get you the interview, right? It's going to get you that initial phone call, but it's up to you to sell yourself and be able to communicate and really show your value. So keep that in mind, everyone. Very important. Great advice there, Ruzan. Now, one more thing on mentors, Ruzan. How does one get a mentor? How do you do it? Like, you just message someone and say, "Hey, can you be my mentor?" Or like, like what kind of an approach do you suggest?
Surely you can do that. Just randomly start messaging people, but
Yeah,
our honest opinion would be maybe you may not have that much of turnaround
yeah,
of replies. So maybe I would start with seeing at people who are active in the industry firstly.
yeah,
Try to contact them if they are active. That means they are approachable. I would start with that. I would then second find something of a program or something which has some set structure to that mentorship. Like I will use VAC, like the Visionary Advisory Community, as an example. Like I would strongly suggest anyone to just chisel the structure in, like to see what exactly are you getting from it. Like the way it was designed was with truest experiences of the mentors there, what they have faced, what they face with other mentees who are in the same boat, and try to build a structure around it, which helps them in turn. So try to find such structural mentorship program. Enroll in those, because if you're matched with someone, a mentor or someone who is ready to give time, means that they are approachable again, and you would be surprised at times when people surely go over and beyond to help and make that difference. So I would say those would be the starting point. Networking as well with people, but uh, it has a less conversion ratio, I would say.
yeah. Got it. Got it. Fantastic advice there, Ruzan. So take heed, folks. If you're looking for a mentor, I would say take what Ruzan's suggesting. It's a much more effective and strategic approach versus simply messaging random people and saying, hey, can you be my mentor or something like that. So great advice there, Ruzaan. Appreciate you sharing that. Now, Ruzaan, in regards to everyone faces career challenges and mistakes that they've made, and in your space, in the AML space, as an AML professional, Ruzaan, can you share some of those career challenges and mistakes that you have made, that you've and some like a heads up for the audience on what they need to avoid or adjust?
Perfect. So maybe I mean, I'll firstly change all my success tips that I gave into a negative limelight,
Got it.
and say
Okay.
losing hope and all those are mistakes to avoid for sure. But on the other side, maybe mistakes to avoid should be, don't go to people with an intention, or networking or mentorship programs or anything with an intention to get a job. Go with an intention to learn.
Yeah.
That is impressive in itself. It will get you what you want at the end if you did things right. But go with that learning mindset to learn more, to get to pick others' brains. That's what I call.
Got it.
That's one thing to do. Mistakes to avoid: don't apply for all the jobs that you see. See what aligns with your skills and abilities. Don't waste your chances. I say each application is your limited ammunition. Don't waste it. So don't apply for all types of jobs at
Mhm.
one bank, maybe, or maybe one organization in general, and rather go very selective when it comes to that. Try to know a little bit better. Just don't go blindly in that interview as well. Know a little better about that role. Know a little bit more about what you are expected to do, and don't stop. If it's a failure, some people give up, like, hey, I've been trying for a month, I've been applying to each and every AML job, but I don't get it. Maybe that's the mistake. Did you see
Yeah.
whether it aligns? How have you tailored your resume? Have you done some research? And the answer is generally no. So it's that mistake. Don't no, never have no's as an answer for those questions. And maybe when it comes to mistakes to avoid, is one of the biggest mistake. Yeah, that should be the one of the biggest one, I should say. Overestimating your skills and abilities sometimes gets you into the pitfall. I've been in those shoes as well. So, personal opinion, don't do that. And maybe you are a director back home. And when you come here, you may have to struggle a bit more to get that same level. Be ready for that. It's just, don't take it for granted that
Mhm.
hey, I was a director back home. I was leading a big team. I'll get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I need it. I want it. Rather than how can I get it, would be the attitude. That attitude change will make a lot of difference.
That's awesome. Fantastic advice there, Ruzan. And
Thank
looks
you.
like your friend Sundar would wants you to be his mentor as well.
He's a funny guy. Thank you, Sundar.
Yeah, we got Alvan who says, "Good to see you, Ruzan. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, Alvan."
Thank you.
And something you mentioned about the resumes, about applying, it made me also think, Ruzan. I think the way that applying for these jobs is set up now, it just makes it appear to be so easy. You have that apply now button, you just click
Yeah.
on that, and I think that tricks a lot of people into thinking that's all it takes to conduct their job
Yeah.
search. But as you said, there's a lot more work and legwork, folks, that goes into really setting yourself up for success in your job search. So again, great advice there, Ruzan. So getting into actual success tips for job seekers, which have worked for you, Ruzan, can you share some
Mhm.
some best practices and other tips aside from what you've
Perfect.
mentioned already?
Yeah. Maybe I'll touch on your previous point and connect it with this one as well. Firstly, I'll give a shout out to my other chief mentor, Purva, and I like his dialogue that he uses every time. That is, job search is a project and a full time
Mhm.
job. Uh, don't think of it as a part, your free time work. Think of it
Yeah,
as a full time job. That's the commitment that you need.
love that. Love
So
that.
that's where I see that working as well. Maybe if people want to get in this resumes and other segments, uh, seek for something which is like helps you with some strategies built out already, if that's the case. If not, build your own.
Mm.
Like some of the strategies would be, I would apply for each position. So I would go back to the drawing board. I would print those job descriptions on a piece of paper. Take my pencil. I'm a pencil guy, so I like to
Nice.
scribble around. I would butcher it. I call that butchering of the job description. I would butcher it to the extent that each smallest thing that I could find that resonates or I can prove that I have, I will circle that, write my notes here besides it, and try to make some comments on that. Like for I'll give examples. I like to give examples when I say something like that. Maybe it was team player was a prominent one there. So hey, I have an award for being the best team player. Circle best team
Mm.
player award. Other options. Why did I get that? Try to connect it with some projects where I've shown those skills, and I'll try building each and every word out of it, and try to scribble out things and write on that job description and butcher it. Once that butchering strategy is over, I go to the resume side, and then that's my tailoring. Like
Wow.
each job description detail that's mentioned there, and the factors that I've mentioned with it would have to resonate in my resume to see that there's a connection, and then maybe apply for that position. And even after applying that position, I would always save that document. I'll save that job description. I'll create some folders with all the banks that I'm targeting. I would create the subfolders in that with different positions. So within that, would have applied in the past, or maybe now I'll keep a live track record since day one. I have that now.
Wow.
It will be a job description. It will be the resume that I submitted and the cover letter that I submitted. At the same time, this piece of paper that I butchered. The reason I do that is, again, when I get that interview call, or maybe I have to go to them, what I need to do is first refer to that page and that job description and that resume that I've submitted to them. And that's my Bible, I would say, to refer to. That helps a lot. And maybe keep practicing, the interview skills. It's easy to say that, hey, I can answer any questions,
Hmm.
but you get nervous at sometimes, and the flow doesn't go quite well. You start interrupting. You start, mistakenly maybe, or not. It wasn't deliberate action, but you start
Yeah,
committing
yeah.
crimes, that are fatal to your application. So practicing those, setting your own, maybe someone, I would say, maybe do it in front of a mirror, maybe just to see,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
you're smiling enough or not. Hey, your hand gestures are there, or your posture is there. Maybe record yourself, revisit it again and again, and that's all these strategies that actually work for me. And I would say that's, copy it if you want to, if it helps you.
Awesome. I love that advice, and especially what you said about practicing, Ruzan. I think that's such great advice, and I definitely advocate for that as well. But and I think a lot of people don't do that. Like, and maybe and as you get, you progress more senior in your career, you have the confidence, of course, and you start thinking, okay, yeah, I know everything. I don't need to practice. But I think it's very important, folks, to be humble enough to actually stand in front of the mirror, just like Ruzan is saying, because you might not be able to anticipate each and every interview question you're going to get asked, but you will have an idea of certain types of questions and topics that definitely will be asked from you at the interview. And there's no harm in standing in front of the mirror and practicing your responses. So I definitely love that advice, Ruzan. Excellent advice. And we just have some feedback here. We got Hital. She says, he says, nice advice. Amina says, Ruzan, your suggestions are very, very wise. Awesome. Great feedback there. So, I mean, Ruzan, now we were kind of touching on the interviews, right? And you gave some great advice there. Banking industry is very, very competitive, as we've already kind of discussed. So how does, like, any additional tips, how does the job seeker, the candidate in the banking space, whether the AML space or not, how do they really stand out and separate themselves from these, huge amount of other candidates that might be being considered for the same roles or even just applying for the same roles? But how does one separate themselves at the interviews?
Perfect. So maybe I would say now in this time, currently, the interview settings have changed. It would be more of a virtual interviews than the
Yes, yes.
face-to-face one. So maybe I'll concentrate more on that side. Stand apart by the smallest detail you can. That's my intention always to be. Maybe I would say, have your tech check done prior. Have
Yeah, yeah.
even be the one who is minutely thinking of things, like, hey, what's my background like? Hey, is it okay to have that? Hey, should I wear something different if I'm applying for maybe a banking position? So maybe I should suit up a bit, tie up a bit.
Hmm.
and show up. So maybe understanding those things, these are small things. They won't get you the job for sure in its own self. You can have the $1,000 suit as well, but that does not equal to getting the job for sure. But what I mean to say by that is these small details create an impression, and everyone has heard that first impression is the last impression in times,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
especially with interviews, that's so true, because you have maybe that 45 minutes, that 1 hour to impress if you don't know that person from before, right? And sometimes that can be beneficial. Sometimes it is a double-edged sword. So it can be beneficial. Sometimes it can be a problem as well, because you are not able to convey things like that. So once you have practiced and you are so well versed, like for the 10th time maybe practicing, you might still be having challenges, but trust me, when it comes to the 15th time, 20th time of
Mhm.
practicing it, you would have got it would have become a second nature. So you don't have to think of all those things still in that interview time. It will come naturally. But these small things, checking things around and checking and trying sometimes to even be cognizant of a matter of fact that, hey, I should be alone at this time. No one is going to disturb me. Or maybe if you have a pet or something, maybe that pet doesn't come up
Yeah.
and distract the whole mindset. It's not that it's bad. I know it happens in our sessions as well. Sometimes some kid walks in. It's the new norm, I call it. But then,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
for an interview, if you are so concentrated and on answering that question, it might just be a distraction that could go in the wrong direction.
True, true. Yeah.
The hiring manager would be okay, but maybe you have just lost your chain of thought, and from there it may be a down swirl. So that's some of the tips I would say maybe keep in mind for the new norm of interviews.
No, great advice there, Ruzan. And because you know what, we when the way of doing things changes, we have to also adapt and adjust to it, right?
True.
And just like you said, maybe the interviewer, they don't mind that, they understand you have kids or pets and this and that. But if you that little distraction disrupts your train of thought, that can really affect your response and your ability to effectively sell yourself. So you want to minimize those. I 100% agree with that, Ruzan. Fantastic advice. Now, for those who are new to the country, right, and most of the viewers here are Canadians, but also those who are new to Canada, or maybe people in the U.S. who are new to the U.S. How do you deal with this whole, lack of local experience thing, like lack of Canadian experience? Maybe for my friends in America, lack of American experience. How do you deal with that? How do you overcome that? I mean, you've been in this probably similar situation, Ruzan, when you arrived here, but or not, maybe not. But can you let us know, like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I've been in those shoes as well, and I still till date answer those questions when it comes to Canadian experience
Right,
and stuff
right.
like that. I totally say if that's something that you're getting as a feedback, try to change it. Where in the sense that, hey, yeah, I do know that I don't have Canadian experience, but how can you change things and connect things? Like you did volunteering, maybe example for example, you did some volunteering things. Hey, that's also Canadian experience, I would say. You participated in some internship program. Hey, that's Canadian experience. You were talking to people in Canada. You were mingling, networking with people there. You were learning from them. That's Canadian experiences. Your education, was in Canada. That's Canadian experiences. It doesn't have to be work experiences. It can be other things that you have done to learn and grow and to get your skills up to the mark. And that's sometimes where we just accept it as newcomers. We just accept that answer. Maybe if someone told someone that, hey, you lack Canadian experience, we just accept it. And maybe that's the point where you may need to probe a bit more and ask some good questions. Say, hey, I have this. What exactly do you mean by Canadian experiences? I have
Yeah,
done
yeah.
this. Try to connect those dots and make that sellable, which people don't do. They just accept it. That, hey, I'm a newcomer, so I don't have Canadian experiences. I mean, I'll be honest. Even working at a local store, Tim Hortons, or any of those for client-facing store, even when you are a student, or even when a person is actually just struggling to get their feet in the doors, as they call it. Use those as your Canadian experiences. You have learned a lot. I again so much emphasize heavily on transferable skills and transitionary skills, that even those positions that you have can help you gain these transferable skills. Like, for example, someone at Tim Hortons is applying for a banking a bank branch facing role, a teller position maybe, for example. Hey, you can use that. You can say, I've worked this way in Tim Hortons, for example. I'm using them again as an example, but I've worked there as a person who was day in, day out, talking to people, talking to customers, handling their grievances. This is my transferable skills that I bring to your teller position. And think it of that way. So if someone says you don't have Canadian experiences for this, I would counter argue, not argue. I would say no, that's the wrong word, but I would try to counter reposition myself. I would say by saying that this is what I have, and this is what I feel compensates for it. So education, like I have a full-time degree in compliance that I did, and AML that I did. I have those to complement for Canadian experiences. I have CAMS designations, CFCS designation, which are good designations to have on your resume, or just for the learning factors. I could use those. Hey, this is something that gave me that in-depth knowledge. So maybe I don't have that Canadian experiences to connect it, but this is something that has taught me more. So someone who's applying there without any know-how, without any information of the industry, I am a better person. Hire me.
Gotcha. Fantastic advice. Love that, Ruzaan. Definitely agree with you on that. So Rosemary, I do see your question. We're gonna get around to questions shortly, my friend. And folks, all of you who are watching who have questions for Ruzaan, I want you to start typing them in the comments right now. We're gonna get into the questions shortly. But before we get into the questions, Ruzaan, like any additional or final thoughts or advice for the newcomers who are new to the country, and they're looking for that, that magic bullet, or that special piece of advice that's going to make a difference in their search? Any final thoughts for the newcomers?
Sure. I did touch on one thing before. I'll elaborate a little more. That's the biggest key advice I would give anyone is don't come to Canada with a time bomb in hand. When I say time bomb, it's like a counter that's going on, and until you hit zero, you need something. Learn as you go. Right. Invest in yourself. Don't lose hope, because once you have that that timer, it may start swirling in the negative way, and you may just be frustrated after that. It's a total negative mindset in your job search. When you're doing that and it doesn't work, it's going to lead to more negativity. So stay out of it. Just take it as the day goes by. Think of how you can improve, rather than the organizations that I'm applying for are not valuing my skills. Rather than think of upskilling yourself and growing within your role. Maybe that's again getting a mentor, or getting some tips from videos or people who are active in the industry. Do that. Start doing that. Even if you haven't come as in yet, or maybe are planning to come, start right now. There's no time to waste, I would say.
Amazing, fantastic advice. And again, folks, all your questions for Ruzaan, put it in the comments right now. So Ruzaan, now I did want you to speak a bit about. So I guess you're the founder of Visionary Advisory Group? Is that correct, Ruzaan?
Yeah. So I'm the chief mentor there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell the viewers more about the group? Like who can participate, who can join, what can they expect from the group? And in the meantime, I'm going to post the links in the comments. So feel free to take your time. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So, the whole notion of a visionary advisory community actually was born out of a thought process that we mentors came along and thought that there is something that is missing in this industry, in the banking space, in the job seeking market, which needs to be addressed. And we've been through those shoes in ourselves, and now day in, day out, help people to grow out of it, but that's a steep challenge actually at times, to not know everything and not have the practical knowledge. Like, just for the example's sake, I spoke about name screening, I spoke about transaction monitoring. So if a person actually knew what their day looks like, what do they do, how do they do it, that changes the ballgame totally. When it comes to your marketing materials, you would see tremendous differences. And just example that I use, maybe CSR. Rather than that, I'll say first line of defense changes totally the game again. So those we tried to make a structure out of it where we do give some information like that, and try to build a knowledge piece for people, and at the same time build a community that can amongst themselves as well help each other. So we would also try to get their in-house talent, as I call it, to mentorships, so they can be mentors for others. Because I know I'm a heavy believer into networking, but both sides, upwards, vertically and horizontally, both. So that's one idea. So we started structuring things around what would they need, what would they want to do, like smallest things. For example, I've had problems with negotiations.
Right.
When it comes to salary, how do I even talk about money? I would be like, hey, whatever is applicable as per the company norms.
Yeah,
Totally wrong. And we don't understand that, right? We don't.
yeah, yeah.
So we till the time you get that guiding light, you don't understand that. So that's where we thought, like, hey, we'll try to chisel in these small details into this thing, which will help to gain insights, and at the same time help people to know how they should be doing stuff, and how they should be, maybe they didn't realize some things in the interview that they were doing wrong. um,
Mm.
it's like, hey, don't have a 1 hour long introduction. Maybe your introduction has to have this, your resume. It shouldn't be something like a JPEG for the smallest thing of all. You wouldn't realize that. You would only realize that through conversation, which to be honest, most of us on this planet are not good at, including me. It took a while to break my own shell. So some people who are in the shell, they would be a proper candidate. They would be the people who would want to take benefit of this. Some people who are transitioning into banking industry, as you said before, Dean. And I totally agree with that. There are thousands and thousands of applications for each position within the banking, and being the highly competitive, you need to have that knowledge that sets you apart. Maybe it's for those people. Sometimes it's career transition people. Some people, like, from, hey, different genres, want to get into banking. Banking is one of the most important ones because it's like the most strongest one. We
Yeah,
did a
yeah.
seminar actually the last weekend, which spoke about why the banking industry is so important, and how I know how it supports different types of roles. Some people think like, hey, banking, it's only about banking money and stuff like that. No, 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 it's wrong. There are so many other things that you need to know about within the banking. Like a project manager, for example, is also employed by the banking side. Hey, IT is also being employed by the banking side. So there are many
Yeah.
facets to it, which needed to be worked on. So that's one other type of people I would say would want to get the benefit of. Maybe newcomers. They don't know much about the work culture. So we also have a piece of it where it teaches you about work culture, some norms, some things that you should be aware of. First day of your work shouldn't be, hey, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. It should be more of the more confidence side of it, like you want to make that impression again with your colleagues, which are again your network in the future. So that's the first impression again. Um, and maybe anyone who is looking to start their careers, or maybe international students who haven't started it, or maybe any general students, in per se, they can benefit from that, because it will surely lead them to understanding how the banking industry. It's not just AML though; it's everything in the banking. Majority, I should say, of the banking industry, how it works, how things are. Retail banking, for example, like if you are concentrating on retail banking, what should be your mindset? What should be your skills? How should your resume? What certifications should your resume show more? What should be there on your LinkedIn profile? How should your LinkedIn profile be as well? We have a section on that as well. Like, hey, a LinkedIn profile. This is what you do. This is what you don't do.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
post cat videos. And engage more on. Nothing offensive with cats, but hey, if
Yeah.
you're in the market to find a job, maybe try to be more active on that side, and comment like on people's posts and stuff like that, to get attention of people. So that we try to deliberately instill all those mindsets, so that not just for now but for later as well, we can get more out of it. And at the same time, you can get one-on-one mentorships. with mentors, which is because sometimes it's the general knowledge is good, but when it comes to help, it needs to be customized in many ways to be able to tailor and give you the right it's not I refrain from calling it the magic portion, but somewhat the magic portion which works for you,
Right.
rather than a generalistic approach. So we've built in that as well on the one-on-one segment. So yeah, that's in a nutshell all about visionary advisory community and who should participate.
Awesome, fantastic. So, folks, I put the link in the comments if you're interested in learning more. So you should see that link in the comments, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, as well. Also, just wanted to give us, so we got a comment here from Ramsey. Ramsey says we definitely don't practice interviews, even though they are some of the most important meetings of our career. Yeah, absolutely, Ramsey. And shout out to Ramsey. Good to see you here, my friend. I was actually thinking about you, Ramsey, earlier today. So telepathic power right there. So thanks for tuning in. So great, awesome. So folks, all your questions for Ruzaan, put it in because otherwise we're going to wrap it up shortly. But Ruzaan, and also in regards to Visionary, the group, you provide free Saturday events, right? And I
Oh
think
yeah.
you mentioned that already, or
Yeah, no, I didn't emphasize more on that. So yeah, we do do Saturday events that is free on job topic events. So folks who are interested in AML, keep your eyes on the posts. It is something that's going to come up on the next week. That is September 12th, Saturday. At 11 a.m. So we do it online. We do regularly get like almost 50 plus participants every week.
awesome.
And this week rather would be more on business banking as well. So folks, and we have some guests coming in as well for sharing live feedback or maybe live experiences, not feedback, I should say, maybe experiences of their own being in that industry. So look forward to that. AML as well is on 12th September, and the next sessions after that. These are a regular item like every Saturday that we do at 11 in the morning. So yeah, feel free to tune in there and support us as well.
Awesome, I'd love to be a guest on your on one
Sure.
of your Saturday series. So I definitely would love to do that. Uh,
Perfect. Done
Now,
deal.
okay, awesome, awesome. So now, Ruzaan, for those of the viewers who want to connect with you or network with you, like, what's the best approach for them to take? Like, how should they go about doing that?
Perfect. Yeah, I call my social media the only social media is my LinkedIn. That's the most active than
Got it,
any
got it.
other. So yeah, that's the best way to reach me. And I'll surely I do make it a point to reply to each and everyone, even if this question may sound. People themselves sometimes term it as dumb questions, or
Yeah.
maybe raw, incorrect questions. But hey, I do reply back to those as well. So I'm open to any messages, and then I try if it's something like a very dumb question as well, I'll try to reply it with the positive spin, like, hey, maybe next time try to think of this way and go ahead ask that, because I've been in those shoes as well, sending those dumb
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
messages and asking for jobs. So that's how I try to do it. So yeah,
Awesome,
LinkedIn.
awesome, fantastic. Yeah, so I'm gonna put the link to Ruzaan's LinkedIn profile in the comments shortly, folks. But in the meantime, let's get into the questions. And Ruzaan, you have a few more minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Questions. Okay, awesome, awesome. So the question here, and I'm just going through the questions here. So we got a question from Rosemary. So Rosemary says, would a work co-op be considered as work experience?
Oh yeah, for sure. I've done that, so I can totally resonate with it. You can use that and just learn everything. Co-op is the best. I love that. Sometimes people hate it because the reasons. Sometimes it's unpaid, but I would say that the benefits out of it are more than it just not being paid. So think of that and learn everything. And maybe sometimes if it's learning what is not your work as well, and to learn more things. Like I had two successful co-ops. One which was a bank here, and one was with the Ministry of Education here in Ontario. So both of them taught me a lot. I would totally give most of my credits to those two co-op roles, because that helped me with confidence. that hey, I was doing something which was actually being valued. And when you get compliments and appreciations from your own colleagues and people there become your network, even they try to help you. So yeah, for sure, use it as a work experience, and use it to even catapult your career in the future as well when you're done studying.
Awesome. Awesome, fantastic advice there. Another question from Rosemary was Rosemary says, I think most interviews are being done online. Have you done any interviews with potential candidates? If so, what advice do you recommend in the event that things were lacking? So I think what Rosemary is asking here is, let's say, I guess you have a video interview. Maybe the candidate does not have all the 100% match for the skill set or what's required for the role.
Mhm.
What's your advice on navigating that, Ruzan?
Perfect. If I were to find that 100% match, or anyone in the world tries to find that 100% match, they're chasing a dream that is a myth.
Yeah,
There's
yeah, that's right.
nothing,
Yeah.
there's nothing as a 100% match for sure, Rosemary. So when it comes to interviews, maybe just to ballpark a number, you think maybe you are at 70% or 80% of that skills and abilities or experiences that you may need to get that role. The 30%, if you're ready to show that you are coachable during that interview, or you are ready to learn, you have already have that curiosity, that passion to do that. That's all you need. It doesn't have to be that you have to check all the check boxes at times. So I would totally recommend to remove that notion out, that you need everything. But for online interviews, again, I did give some other tips as well earlier. So for sure, do be mindful of those, and that's the advice. And just be natural. Even sometimes people get a little bit nervous with video interviews, and the new norm of interviews, because it's like, hey, you are no longer seeing the person in front of you to gauge certain things like movements, or some psychological way of thinking, like, hey, that on that answer that person did react, that interviewer did have a smile maybe, so it's like, hey, that point worked, or not, it didn't work. That those are a little bit missing because of the video format. It is still there, but it is a
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
inhuman, I would say, in cases. So be ready for that, and try to be more of aware of the camera. Sometimes it's a
Mm.
bigger screen, so we tend to look this side because the person is this side. And because we lack now with the face to face, we lack that eye contact. Maybe now
Yes, yes.
I term it as changing it to camera contact. So
Ah, I
maybe
like
look
that.
at
Okay.
that way. Yeah, those are some more
Okay,
additional
okay.
tips.
Okay, okay. I love that. Love that. So hope that helps, Rosemary. And by the way, Ruzan, just a quick question regarding
Yeah.
these video interviews. Like some job seekers have reached out to me and told me sometimes they're getting invited to these video interviews where their camera has to be on, but the interviewers, like, they're keeping their cameras
Yeah.
off. Like what's up with that?
Sometimes I'll be honest. It's more of they would have to make notes as well.
Oh, okay.
You may know that a little bit more as well. So I'll not
Yeah,
touch
yeah.
more on that. But it's true. They come with a checklist in their mind, and a busy mind of themselves when it comes to hiring, because they need to ascertain many things that the candidate could bring, like coachability, skills, abilities, and sometimes it's to verify the experiences. So the questions and sometimes the twists that would be in that interview would be mindful of those. So working on those
Right.
sometimes may come across as being disengaged, which
Oh,
sometimes
okay, okay.
managers would not want to be, or sometimes it's just that let's keep it that way, that you can't see us. It's still again the blank eye, and it works a bit of a trick, I would say, somewhere to get nervousness in as well, because you can't anymore see the person in front of
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
So it's a way to test that as well, I could say that. But there are many
Gotcha,
causes to
gotcha.
it. These are just some notions I've mentioned.
Got it, got it. Okay, thanks so much, Ruzan. So, folks, make sure everyone thanks Ruzan for his time. He spent an entire hour with us, shared so much great information and practical information. Right, this is a guy who's in the industry. He walks the walk, talks the talks, walks the talk, and talks the walk. And he's there each and every day. So, Ruzan, thank you so much for your time. You shared so much
Welcome.
great information for not only the people who have been in this country for a while, who have that interest in the banking and MLS space and are in the space, but also for the newcomers who have, they're taking a similar path as you have, right? Coming new to the country, maybe as an international student, maybe as a skilled professional, and trying to break through into the banking and AML industry. So thank you so much for your time, Ruzaan. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and definitely hope to having you maybe sometime in the future again as well.
Perfect, Dean. I'm waiting on my DK cap as well, okay?
Okay.
I know that was a conversation when we started, so I thought maybe it's better to end it at that as well.
Okay, got it for sure. All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Ruzaan. Folks, thanks everyone for everyone tuning in, and hope everyone got some great information out of this, and everyone have a fantastic day.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ruzaan.